Good morning, and welcome to Caffeinate Your Career. I am your host, the career coach with the most, Jason Hopper. And with me today, I've got you're the co-host, actually.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Thank
I
you.
got my co-host, Miss Allison Harding. She's our Senior Director of Career Financial Services. And we also have back with us Phil Kanicki, who is the Manager of Client Services and trainer and career coach. Phil does a lot of things around here. So,
Can I just interject 1 minute?
sure.
People ask us why you have career and financial in the same area. And the reason we do it, for those of you who are unsure, is we used to help people find jobs, but we didn't really ask them any questions about if the jobs were giving you enough money to live on comfortably. And so we joined in a cohort called Working Families Success, where not only do we help you find jobs, but careers actually, but we also help you look at your finances to make sure that those careers are paying you enough money so that you can live comfortably. And so it's a holistic program, and that's why you have career and finance in the same area.
It's good explanation, Allison.
Thanks.
If everybody's wondering about that, that's the reason why. So we've got a few topics today. The first one being, should you use staffing companies? And Allison, you come from staffing.
I do.
I do as well. So we'll start with Phil.
Of course.
Should you use staffing companies?
I think that the answer to that is first understood what a role of a staffing agency is, a staffing company is. They are there to present you as a candidate for their employers who've connected with the staffing company saying, we need a person to do X position. They can serve as great introductors. They can for the job applicant and helping them try to find a position and represent that position, because in effect, when a client first meets with a staffing agency, and again, Allison, you can speak more to this, that agency is going to vet that client. They're going to talk about that client. They don't want to present this client as a solution to an employer when they know they're not going to fit that employer's needs. The employer says, I need X, Y, Z. The staffing agency is going to interview folks, make sure they can provide X, Y, Z, and that they would be a good representative from the agency for their particular employer. Allison?
So being in the staffing industry is really hard because you actually have two clients. The person that you're trying to place and your client who's going to pay you. And so, as Phil said, you are going to be vetted when you come in to make sure whatever positions they have or you want that you're qualified for. Because if you're not, they don't make any money. And so it's important for you to know who you are, what you want, what you really can do, and who you can show value to, so that staffing company can place you in the right job or send your resume to the right people. The other thing is, people always ask us, or often ask us, should I register with more than one staffing company? And as you can tell, the answer is absolutely, definitely yes. Staffing companies have different clients. They fill different types of positions. They have different candidates like yourself coming in. So you need to be able to look at the staffing companies that will benefit you. Now, if you apply to a staffing company, you never hear from them, guess what? They don't have jobs for you. Don't worry about it. Don't bug them. Move on to those that can benefit you. Again, you're looking for a career. Find the people who can help you do that.
That's a good point, Allison. There are staffing companies for every industry. Go find ones that are industry specific to you. Hospitality, dental. Right? I did a contract stint right before. I got hired at TWC for a recruiter job at a dental staffing agency. I had no idea that was a thing. It is. Like there's staffing companies for everything. I tell clients all the time, yes, go get registered with staffing companies. That's my background, so obviously I'm going to recommend that. But also too, like they already have the relationship with the client. Like, you guys out there, you're trying to break into different companies and get connections with different companies. They already have that. You just need to get and find a recruiter that's going to be willing to work with you. And then, you're set. Or recruiters, because, you're going to go check out more than one place.
Right. And so there are staffing companies that do focus on one industry. Like there's staffing companies that only do warehousing, okay? They have a lot of contracts with a lot of different companies. And if that's the type of work you want, that's where you want to be. So it's okay for you to ask questions of the staffing company when you get the opportunity to talk to them. If they don't have jobs to place you, it's a waste of your time filling out the application even. And it's a waste of their time because they're not going to do anything with it. There are also those agencies that do a variety of things. Like they can do accounting and they can do clerical and they can do data processing and they can do IT.
Your general
right
companies, yeah.
But again, you have to be able to talk to them and interview them and say, listen, is it possible for you to place me? I'm looking for this at this salary. Again, you want to be able to pay your bills, put money into retirement, put money into your emergency fund, and also have some fun money. So you want to be able to talk to them, but you want to be able to also fill your needs.
Also, I think it's a good point you bring up is that when somebody is signing up with a staffing agency, I want to work with Alice's staffing agency.
Do you have a staffing
It's not just signing up for them. You want to interview that agency. You want to make sure, as Allison said, that agency can be a fit for you and your needs. You want to take control of this process as opposed to, well, I fill an application, I sent it in, now what? So I don't want to be sitting there staring at the inbox like I'm waiting for a date or I'm trying to wait for somebody to connect with me. We want to have that control, and by interviewing the agency, you're letting them know that you're serious about this, that you can be a good representative of them as they fulfill the needs of their clients or employers. But we also want to make sure, again, that you're making the decision and interview with as many of them as you can. Again, you're in control of this process. The staffing agency can be a group of folks who can represent you, but we want to make sure that you're not just checking off a box saying, well, I did my part there. Interview them. They're going to work for you.
That's so. I'm gonna jump, piggyback off of that. I'm gonna jump on it. No, I'm gonna piggyback off of that, Phil. Because you were talking about process, guys. Here's how staffing works, okay? And it's worked like this at like every company that I work for. There were a lot. I work for a lot of different staffing agencies. You go, you talk to the recruiter. Recruiter's like, okay, great, thanks, Allison. We'll call you if something comes up. They're not going to call you. It's not that they're trying to, lead you on or anything, but here's how this works. Recruiters, especially in staffing, we see a lot of different people throughout the day, right? And what happens is that new job hits my desk, and the first thing I do is I run a list of who is registered in the database with us that we've already talked to and interviewed, okay? And the list prints out the most recent person called down, right? Now, and you know this, right? On paper, everybody's the same, right? Barring a few years of experience here and there, everybody's resume is the same, right? If I'm looking for an accountant, they're all accountants. There's not anything fun in there like acrobats or they're all the same. So then what I do is I just start calling the list. Now, realistically, my client's only going to want to see like my top 4 candidates. So as soon as I get 4 people on the phone that say, yeah, that sounds great, Jason, send my resume, I'm done. I move on to the next thing. Because trust me, as a recruiter, if I'm working on one job, I'm working on 10 to 12 different jobs, right? And so if you're not calling in at least once a week, here's where you are on the list. Way down here. They're never going to call you. You have to be proactive, like Phil said, process, and call in to let them know that you're available. If not, I just assume that you've got another job and you don't need my help anymore. And you're not a viable candidate for me. So make sure that you're calling in at least once a week. Don't be a crazy pest and call them,
Don't psycho dial.
Yeah, don't psycho dial them. But calling in once a week, and really what you're doing, this, and by the way, you can also email, depends on how your recruiter wants to work, text. I know that's a big thing now, but like what you're doing is you're calling, texting, emailing, available. That way they know when the job hits the desk, you're up at the top of the call list.
So another thing, when you go to staffing agencies, and there are some in Dallas, we're not going to name names or anything, but if they're going, don't allow them to charge you. Some staffing agencies charge you to find you a position. Don't go there. Go away. Thank you very much. Hang up the phone. If you're in the office, walk out. Do not pay anybody in a staffing agency to help you find a job. There are hundreds of good agencies out there, and they don't charge you. They don't charge you anything. They charge the client, the company where they're going to place you. That's the agreement they have. And these people who are charging you and then charging the company, they're sort of like double dipping, and they're not that good. So don't do it.
Also, there's no guarantee that they're going to find
There's
you a
no
job.
guarantee, or a job that you can keep, and then you come back and say, well, you have to pay us again. No. Walk away.
Yeah.
I think also you can think about the fact that if they have to charge twice, are they good enough to survive just by charging the employer? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they're good enough and they're fulfilling employers, and the employers, they really shouldn't need to have to charge twice.
Right.
So again, to that point,
Yeah.
glad you mentioned it.
So are staffing agencies good? Absolutely. Finding the right agency is up to you. Get recommendations, talk to other people, but they can't help you a whole lot.
And I also want to make sure that we understand that the agencies are good, but they are not going to do it for you.
Right.
Okay? They are a good tool to have in your process. The fact that you're going to be able to count on them, there's somebody to use, but it's not where you say, here's my name, call me when you got a job. You
Really,
don't want to be going to that position.
Perfectly good point. The staffing agencies are part of your toolbox. Working with people like us or whomever you're working with, your coaches, to help you find positions, to make sure your resume is right. All those things are important. To be able to network, to be able to go to, Phil brings this up often. If you're in an industry that has that have meetings, real estate,
Professional organizations.
yeah, I couldn't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
of professional organizations, real estate, accounting, clerical, admin. There's all IT. There's all sorts of organizations you can get involved with to help you find positions and make connections. Those connections are really important. Your toolbox is doing all of these, not just one.
And that brings the point, when I was in Boston, that's how I landed the job I had, is I connected with an agency, or I'm sorry, a professional organization, talked to a few folks there, and I filled, I know this position up here, they're looking for a financial services person. I gave them your name, give them a call, the networking through there. Typically, you've got your networking, you've got applying online, you've got working with coaches, you can work with agencies, or knock on doors. So there's more than one way of doing it. But again, at the end of the day, it is something that you are going to drive, and the effort you put into it and the decisions you make in terms of selecting those tools who can be the best for you is going to be the one that I think that's going to move you forward as quick as possible.
And again, it's up to you to know what you want so that when you talk to any of these people, it's very clear. We can talk about that
Process. That's just your staffing company is part of your job search process.
Yeah.
So, good topic.
Thanks.
So I think the end result is yes.
Yes.
And yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Work with
yes.
staffing companies.
3 cups of coffee, 3 yeses.
Cheers. Speaking of companies, how many target companies should job seekers have, you think? Phil?
I think that you want to have as many target companies that are going to fit the position you're trying to be into. If you're looking for a position in human resources, we have a whole lot of target companies out there. I think if, depending upon the field that you're interested in, the number of companies out there, that's going to kind of have an impact on that answer. If you're looking at microbiology from a cellular level, maybe there's 2, but you have to think about the position and the industry you want to be in And then I want to connect with as many of those organizations as I can and see what they're doing, what their needs are. So I think it depends on the industry, but I would say as many as you possibly can.
Okay.
So I think I have a different take on target industries. They can change. So
Yeah, sure.
You're looking at target companies. Let's say you've got 10 target companies. Those are companies that you really want to hone in on. But then you find out two of those companies really don't have openings for what you're looking for. Dump them. Don't think they're going to change for you. But you can also say, you know what? Maybe I can do some other things in those organizations. So if you really want a company, figure out what they're doing and where they are and where they stand, who they are. Know everything about them. Know what their philosophy is. Know what their mission statement is. Just because it's ABC Company, which might be the biggest hiring company in DFW, that might not be where you want to work. You may need a smaller company with more recognition, with more ability to advance in the company you're working for. There's all sorts of different things. So your target companies are important, but they can change.
How do you suggest that people pick target companies?
I think it depends on where you want your career to be going. I'll start with myself. I was a teacher and in Southern California, and there was an event called Prop 13, which decreased the amount of dollars the state government was giving to schools. And so the newer teachers got laid off. I mean, there were thousands and thousands of us that got laid off. And I was one of those people. And I went to college to be a teacher. So I had no idea what I was going to do. And so I heard about a staffing company and I applied and got an interview. I had no idea what staffing companies did. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I didn't even know what the business world looked like. It just wasn't my world. So I really had to do a 360. And when I interviewed and I asked the manager, who was one of my greatest bosses, when I asked him why he wanted to talk to me, he said, because teachers are organized. They're used to being able to turn on a dime. Anything can happen. And they're used to talking to people. And he said, you talk to people who are 3'5". Now you're going to be talking to people who are 5'3". No difference. And so that's how I got into staffing, from teaching into staffing. And then I went on for a master's in business. So
I think it's also important to, when we talk about target companies, to take a step back and say, okay, well, what defines a target company? A target company for who? You know, if I have a list of companies, I want that list of companies to be companies that I believe in, that I want to drink their Kool-Aid. I want to help that organization, that company be successful for whatever the reason is. I want it to align with the things that I think about. I want it to be a part of something that, I can go there, I'm going to do my job and catch my paycheck, but I also want to go there, because I want to go there. I want to help that organization be successful. And if that's the definition of a target company, I think we want to make sure, first off, we know what we believe in. And then from that point, we say, okay, what companies out there have that same set of beliefs? What companies out there are going to be able to work with the same way that I want to work at? I may be able to go get a higher salary at a different company, but if I don't like working there, am I really going to be that successful? Or am I going to spend that extra money on roll dates? And that's it. I want to find a company that, again, I can believe in and work with. And so if I have a target company like that in mind, I want to follow that company. I want to see what that company is doing. I want to follow their news feeds. I want to see who they're connecting with. I want to let them know that I have that same core belief that they have as their mission. And there may not be a position right away. There may be a position down the line. But even though there may not be a position, I may be able to connect with somebody in that company who has that same belief, and they may be able to introduce me to somebody as well. So I think if we look at the number of companies who believe in the same thing we believe in, realistically, you're going to see maybe 10 or 15. You could say a lot more about how many can we really manage. I would say about 10 to 15, again, provided that there are companies that really have interest in being a part of.
So I think that's right, about 10 to 15. One of the reasons being, and Phil, you mentioned it just a second ago, you want to try to go get connected to the people that are working at those companies in the department where you're trying to break in. Like if you want to do marketing, go connect to the people that are in the marketing department. And then here's the other part of that, because what you want to do is engage, right? Like if they're posting content on LinkedIn, like it, leave a comment, tag them, right? Engage with them. Really, what you're doing essentially is you're building out the relationship. Although it's virtual, it still counts and it works, right? And you want to. So if you have more than 10 targets and you're trying to build in this process of checking everybody's LinkedIn page and seeing what they're doing and engaging with them, like that's going to take time, right? That's going to take a minute to get through everybody. When it comes to targets and how to pick targets, I always still kind of like what do you like? What do you like doing? Like you like movies? And you don't like movies. You like movies? I'm giving Phil a hard time. This has been a topic of conversation all morning with me and Phil. You like movies?
Yes.
Cinemark Corporate's office is on Dallas Parkway and Parker in Plano. You like jalapeno poppers?
Why not?
There you go. Phil's playing along now. You like jalapeno poppers? TGI Fridays corporate office is at the Turnpike and the Tollway right there. Like, think about things that you just kind of like, and then try to get into that thing, right? I really believe like if you're into something that you just enjoy and like anyway in that industry, yes, okay, you like movies, but you're not going to be in the movie industry working at Cinemark. But like that's what they do; they show movies. And you probably get to see movies for free, I would imagine, working for the company. But like, I think that you would just overall enjoy it a lot more, you know. And so I think that number is probably about 10ish or so.
So I do want to say, when you're looking at yourself and you're you're in a job search, when people come in and talk to us or Zoom today or phone, oftentimes people say, "Well, I want to help other people." So the mind automatically goes to what? Nonprofits.
Yeah.
Everybody in every industry is helping somebody else. If you're an admin, you're helping people. You're helping your boss. You're helping the other people around you. You're helping support your team, whatever it is. If you're in customer service, you are helping people. People are calling you with orders or with a problem or with a challenge. You're helping them. You're guiding them. So being able to and want to work with people does not necessarily, don't narrow it to nonprofit. Narrow it to what you really want to do. And if it's helping people, there is almost not a job out there that doesn't help somebody. If my trash is picked up on Monday mornings, I depend on those people. They're helping me. So I want you to open up your small window of thinking and broaden your scope as to who I am and what do I want to do. You're always helping someone.
Yeah, I had a client last year, and she was not real sure, but thought she might want to do real estate. And she goes, but that was the thing. I want to be helpful, and I was like, you're helping people into their home. You're helping create memories for people that last, a lifetime. And when you get that different idea or perception, it really changes the whole framework of what you're trying to do in your job.
I think if you're able to put a definition to the entry in the book, helping people, okay? What does helping people look like? What can you visualize it to be? When you see yourself helping people, are you helping somebody by picking up the trash? Are you helping somebody by finding a home for them? Are you helping somebody by helping an employer find and complete their mission? What is it that you think of when you think of the term helping people? Because it's fairly generic. It's one of those things that we hear a lot, like, I like to work alone and I like to work in teams. Okay, well, everybody who doesn't want to do that, stop reading, because that's pretty much it. And so that's a great sentiment, but we have to be able to put a visualization to it to see what that actually is. And then those target companies that have that same type of a message, that same type of a mission, those are the ones that I would want to recommend that we connect up with. And so there is that synergy right away. There's a reason that I want to be, I like to be in the company. I want to speak to that company. And that's why I want to make sure that they know that they're a target of mine.
Very good.
Thanks.
Nice.
Some coffee.
I know. Yeah. I know that you both have had this question before. You know, you're talking to clients or job seekers, or just, people, and they're talking about, it's like, Phil, I'm doing all the things, but like, why is nobody calling me back?
One of the things that we want in the job search, and it's really somewhat unique in terms of processes, one of the few processes, and there's a couple out there. I think fill out your taxes are going to be the same category. We want it done. We want this done as fast as possible. Or a job. I want it done. I don't want to be in job search mode. I don't want to pull my taxes, but I want to have this stuff done as soon as possible. Therefore, I want somebody to call me now, yesterday. Why isn't this happening? I think one of the things that unfortunately happens is that the expectations become a little bit bigger than what they really are. People should be able to call me back right away. It's right after Christmas, and people should call me back. Well, what are companies doing right after Christmas? And maybe they're doing their year end. Maybe there's things going on. But I think it's important that we, in the process of connecting with folks, get a date committed to sometime that they want to call us back, a date that I can follow back up on. We don't, again, want to sit and just watch the phone or watch the inbox. We want to take that control. We want to connect with folks. And I think when people are saying nobody's calling back, we want to make sure we understand that were they supposed to call you back? That's the first thing.
Right. Right.
What is that, forgive me, process? What's the next step along that line?
So I also think, you guys might disagree with me, and I will accept that, okay? Every person...
It's like, get ready, Phil.
Get ready. No, but I think
let's go.
For every job, there are 10 clones of qualified people. Sure. So if somebody is applying at JFS for a receptionist position, there are 10 applications that we get that are really qualified. The way you present yourself on your resume, because that's what's going to be looked at first, the resume, is the most important part of that. And you want to be, of those 10, the 5 or 4 or 3 who are going to be called in. And so that's that second step in that process. You're not getting called because of those 10 people, your resume didn't show off the skills as well as the other 5. Those skills are really important. So if you really have, we hear from people, oh, I applied for 100 positions. I applied for 80 positions. I haven't heard anything. There is something the matter with your resume, period. There just is. And so what we have to do is help you hone in on that and figure out what those companies are looking for and how we can change it so that your resume is one of those last 5 that they're looking at. So that's number 1. Number 2, once you've been accepted and you get an email that says, we're going to call you for a phone interview, that interview is a screen. Of those 5, they only want 3 left to send to a manager or to a director, whomever. That screen is really important. Again, it's the way you present yourself. So the presentation of the resume, incredibly important. The first interview, the first round, incredibly important. If you can't do those things well, you're not going to get a call back.
And to your point, Allison, with regard to the resumes, thank you for bringing that up. Understand that when a resume is viewed, you're taking somebody's time. Somebody's taking time and looking at that resume and they're trying to figure out. You have to get that person to want to spend more than 7 or 10 seconds looking at that resume. And the way you do that is you have to make sure they fall in love with the very first sentence on that resume. You have to make sure they want to read the second sentence. And that resume has to demonstrate you can be a solution for those particular employers' needs. So we do need to target that resume other than just, well, I'm really great and I saved this and I'm going to send it out to 500 people. We'll see what happens. Right. You're right. You're not going to get callbacks like that because, again, there's nothing specific that of interest to that particular employer. If you're walking down the street and you go past a grocery store and you're looking for meat and they got a sale on eggs, do you care? Same thing with the employer. You want to make sure that that employer sees that you're a fit for their needs, and those first couple sentences are going to get them to say, let's get that phone screen out of the way. Let's get that process going. This could be a person who can help us solve our problems.
If you're making meatloaf, you would need the eggs for the binding agent to.
Well, maybe you already have the eggs.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people, and so we were talking about process a minute ago, and Phil's like, we're just going to send out all the resumes. Like the spray and pray method just does not work. Again, which is why you want to be systematic about it and have target companies where you can where you're trying to break in. I think we did. You kind of talked about it without really talking about it, like the applicant tracking system, right? Like if you guys don't know what the ATS is, applicant tracking system, it is software that pretty much all companies use to filter out candidates, because to Phil's point, every job that's getting posted right now is getting anywhere from 100 to 200 people applying. And as a recruiter, I don't have time to go through all those, right? So the software filters out really about 97% of the people of candidates. So that being the case, that's why nobody's calling you back. And what Allison was saying is, like, your resume has got to be ATS compliant to get up to be one of the people that the recruiter actually sees. And then, like Phil says, they want to call you back because of how the resume is written.
Your resume is your sales tool. I know that sounds sort of funny, but it is what's going to sell you. After that, you're going to sell you. But you have to get that first step with that resume. You have to fill the needs and have the value needed by the company to be able to get past either the ATS or a person, whatever it takes to be able to get on to the next steps.
And if you keep in mind, the resume is also your introduction. I mean, the employer doesn't know who you are. The resume is that first point. But the term I think that you use is spray and pray.
Spray and pray.
Send everything out there.
Yeah.
I think that also has a hidden danger to where we tend to will develop indignation. I sent out my 200 resumes. Nobody's calling me. Therefore, something's wrong with them, or I've done my part. And there is this sense of almost circling the drain. Like, why would I want to keep doing this? I keep sending it. Nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing's going to come through for me. And again, that process of just mass sending out resumes, it can lead to people eventually just saying, you know what, it's not going to work for me. I'm just going to give up, but I'm not going to worry about it. And that's really the unfortunate part. So where when nobody's calling you back and we don't know why, again, make sure that we're giving people a reason to want to call us back. Make that resume targeted to the needs. Get that ATS compliance in the resume so that you're not in that position of saying, it's not my fault. We want to make sure we take that process and get through it, and the employers do want to connect with us.
You have to take responsibility. And if it's not working, get it fixed. I mean, if you have a drain that's clogged and you can't get it unclogged, you call somebody to help you take care of that. If your resume and you're not getting callbacks and you're sending them out, fix it. And there are people like us who can help you. Jewish Family Service, Career and Financial Services. But the important thing is that you look at your resume and say, why am I not getting callbacks? What am I missing on here? And it could be something simple, it could be something complex, but do change it, because if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and get no response, guess what? Next time you do it, you're still not going to get a response.
And to go one quick thing that we've shared with the clients a lot, and it's with the ATS, and also I know you bring this up all the time, and this could be something so banal that we don't even think about it, is does your resume have a line going from margin to margin? Do you have an underline? Like typically I like to separate, well, this is my name, and so I've got this underline, and so I separate, look, it's a different part. A lot of scanners will see that line as end of document. And so if you imagine a scanner seeing your top three, your name, your phone number, email, and there's a line, the rest of it's done. There's really nothing for anybody to call back on.
Yeah.
Things like this that people don't think about could be another reason that the resume isn't doing the job, because the resume isn't being viewed.
Yeah, some of the ATSs see that as in doc, some don't, right? But we don't
take the chance.
We don't know which ones they have, so just take it out completely. I think is the best thing there.
And there is also certain things in whomever you work with will help you on your resume, but don't use a lot of italics. A lot of anything that is not standard will not allow that ATS to read it. So if there's lots of italics, if there's a line, like Phil said, end to end, if it's certain fonts that the ATS won't read, can't read, stick to the basics.
Graphics.
Yeah.
No graphics.
Don't include your picture. Okay. I know some of you want to. Don't. It is not, your picture is not going to get you a job. And some companies, if there's a picture on there, can't even look at it because they have to follow certain guidelines. Times New Roman, Arial, and Calibri are the three easiest fonts to read, and what we know, all of the ATSs can read and will not kick out.
And when you're filling out an application and you're asked on the application, insert your resume at this point, pay attention if they're looking for what's referred to as a text version of your resume. Because if you spend time on Microsoft Word or some word processor and you got your resume looking good and everything's set up right, and then they say, I want a text version, you may want to save that document as a text version and look at it before it gets put into that application, because doing something like changing the type of document it is from, let's say, a Word document to a text document, it's going to completely change the way the resume looks. As an example, on a text version, bullet points don't exist. On a text version, bold doesn't exist. And so pay attention to that as well. You could be doing something and you think everything looks great on an application, but what's being seen by the employer isn't going to be something they want to reach back out and connect with you on.
Good point. I never thought of that.
Well, same thing for the PDFs, right? Because some of the ATS systems do not like PDF forms, right? If it's looking for a Word doc and you attach a PDF, it's not even going to pick it up. And some of them do. And actually, now a lot of them will say attached doc or PDF, right? In which case you can't do that.
But if you're asked to attach a document in a certain form, save it first, look at that after you save it, and then attach it. Make sure it's going to convey the message you want conveyed so that they're going to see what you want them to see.
Was I saying ATF or ATS?
You said,
sounds like it's yes to me.
I think you said ATS.
I don't
I'm
know.
going to have to check on the replay.
No, I don't want to.
I will.
I screw it up all the time.
I will check it.
That's why I asked myself, did I say the right thing?
I think you said ATS.
Oh, good.
The ATF will also not move your resume forward in this process. Just so
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Just to let you know. Great. That was a good topic. Now for our kind of fun topic for the day. What's your favorite Matt Damon movie?
I like Martin Scorsese. No.
Allison Harding. So, wait. Before you go jump into that. So originally this question was going to be, what's your favorite Martin Scorsese movie? And neither of them knew who Martin Scorsese was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's like one of the best directors of our generation. And so Allison suggested we say, because she's like, nobody else, I don't know who Martin Scorsese is. Nobody else is going to know who Martin Scorsese is. So I was like, all right. She said, Matt Damon. I'm like, okay, everybody knows who Matt Damon is. So that's why she said that. And that's the backstory to that. That's the fun question of the day. So.
My favorite Matt Damon movie is Good Will Hunting, which I think was his first movie. And he and Ben Affleck wrote it together.
Yeah.
And that's still my favorite.
That's a good movie. Did you know that the last line in the movie is from Robin Williams, right? And the last line is, "Damn, he stole my line," and he did that impromptu. That was not in the script. He just made that up at the very end, and they kept it, right? They thought it was good and kept it. I think how you like them apples, right? Phil?
So I did get a chance to look up Matt Damon.
Phil is not a movie.
Phil doesn't watch movies.
The movie I did see of his that I liked was Rounders.
Oh, yeah.
Rounders was a good movie. Again, it's the fact that he actually plays somewhat the serious part compared to Ed Norton. And it was a nice change for him to be almost not the one learning something, but teaching something, as you will. So that's what I wanted to share is that Rounders, I think, was a good movie.
Rounders is an excellent movie.
I mean, obviously everybody can talk about, the Jason Bourne series and stuff. That's his latest stuff. But again, Rounders I thought was a pretty good movie. Yeah.
My favorite Matt Damon movies, also a Martin Scorsese movie.
Of course.
That would be The Departed, where Matt Damon plays he's in the FBI, but he's also crooked. And where Leonardo DiCaprio is in with the state police and is pretending to be crooked. And so the two of them, and it's got Jack Nicholson in it. So,
oh my gosh.
yeah, excellent movie. It's like all Scorsese movies, it's violent, but it's in Boston. It's good.
You won't like it.
So
Phil does not like Boston.
I like Boston. I like Dallas too. But I've also learned something about the term fanboy. So, I think there might be a Scorsese fanboy up here as well.
I love Martin Scorsese. I do love Martin Scorsese. When I was in high school, I actually had one of the original print posters for Taxi Driver. That was at the theater. It was basically Robert De Niro walking down the street, and it was purple. And I had that hanging in my room for many, many years.
And he still has it.
I don't know where it is, to be honest with you. I wish I did. So,
but another movie series I liked, or I think they did too, was Ocean's 11.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see that
Yep.
one?
It's awesome one, yeah.
Yeah, I liked
there was
that.
there was three. There's Ocean's 11, 12, and 13.
Okay, well, I saw Ocean's 11, and that one stuck in my mind. But that was
It's
a
good.
whole series of,
Yes.
or a whole group of people
I
that
remember
you
watching-
enjoy all of them.
I remember watching the original one.
Right.
It had the Rat Pack in it and all that. But yeah, that's a good remake as well.
Yeah.
All right. So we learned quite a bit, especially about Damon. All right. That's the end of today's Caffeinate Your Career. We'll see you next week. Next week we'll have, again,
No. You won't.
you're not going to be here?
You don't know that. I just found out I have to be in a meeting.
Oh.
So I won't be here next week.
No,
I might
Allison.
pop in if the meeting ends early.
No, Allison, but we will have Kristen Lovenstein here with us next week, and I will be here as well. So,
And someone else.
so in the meantime,
Maybe Martin Scorsese?
maybe Martin Scorsese.
Or
That
Matt
would be
Damon.
amazing. Or Matt Damon. They're Matt Damon and Martin Scorsese are welcome anytime. So, all right, guys, thanks. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Thank you for being here.
Take care.